If the Quran has been perfectly preserved for 1400 years, why then did Uthman, one of the companions of Muhammad, burn all the other versions of it?
Versions? You see, what I think is, if this guy is a great cook, he doesn't need Islam to go viral. But because he is a poor cook, his cooking is as bad as his knowledge, then he wants to use Islam to get viral.
MashaAllah, brother!
So we'll be going back in time to see the reasons why Uthman radiallahu anh burnt the Quran. Did he actually burnt versions of the Quran according to what this guy said, or he burnt individual copies of the Quran? So these we'll be learning inshallah, so we can have a better understanding of what really transpired during the lifetime of Uthman radiallahu anh. So let's get started.
So first and foremost, we'll be looking at this hadith found in Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 4987. Anas bin Malik reported, Hudhayf ibn al-Yaman came to Uthman at the time when the people of Syria and Iraq were different in their recitation of the Quran. Hudhayfa said, O Caliph, save this nation before they differ about the book, as the Jews and the Christians did before them. We know that the Christians have, some of their books. You would see, for example, the Ethiopian Orthodox, they have about 81 books in the Bible. And when you look at the Catholic Church, they have about 73 books in their Bible. And also when you look at the Protestant, they have about 66 books. So which of these is revealed from God and which is not? So this man Hudhayf ibn al-Yaman is saying that we should try to curtail this before it gets worse. So Uthman sent a message to Hafsa, the daughter of Umar radiallahu anh, saying, send us the manuscript of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic material. So now listen, he is asking her to send a complete manuscript of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies and then return them to you. So Hafsa sent the manuscript to Uthman. Now, what manuscript is Uthman talking about? Remember, before Uthman, there was a compilation made by Abu Bakr, the second caliph, or the second leader after the Prophet ﷺ. There was a compilation of the Quran. A single copy was made of the Quran. And before Abu Bakr passed away, he handed this copy to Hafsa, the daughter of Umar bin Khattab, and also, of course, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. And this copy has remained with her until the reign of Uthman. So now, due to the report of Hudhayfa, Uthman sent that this copy should be collected, and then they should make several copies from this original copy or this manuscript compiled by Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. So after this manuscript was collected, Uthman then ordered Zayd bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Zubair, Sa'id bin Al-As, and Abdul Rahman bin Harith bin Hisham to copy them in standard form. Uthman said to the three Qurayshi men, if you disagree with Zayd on any point of the Quran, write it in the dialect of the Quraysh, as it was revealed in their tongue. So after they made several copies of the Quran, Uthman returned the original manuscripts to Hafsa and ordered that all of the Quranic materials or personal copies be burned. So this is why Uthman radiallahu anhu burnt individual copies. Of course, these copies you would see varying degrees of errors, varying degrees of mistakes and all that. Chapters are not even arranged the way they were. So now let's go to the reasons why Uthman burnt the Quran. Number one, divergent recitation. You see, as Islam spread across different regions, for example, Iraq, Syria, and Persia, many of these people are non-Arab. They began to recite the Quran in a different dialect and style. This led to disputes over the correct pronunciation and wording. Secondly, which would of course lead me to why Hudhayfa approached Uthman, it is concern from companions. As we know, Hudhayfa noticed these differences during military campaigns and warned Uthman that if not addressed, these variations could lead to divisions among Muslims. Thirdly, standardization for unity's sake. To ensure that all Muslims had a single authentic version of the Quran, Uthman ordered the compilation of an official copy based on the master manuscript, compiled by who? Compiled by Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, which is of course preserved by Hafsa, the daughter of Umar, and also the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. Then lastly, destruction of individual copies. So after compiling the official version or the copy of the Quran, Uthman instructed that all other personal and regional copies be burnt to prevent any further discrepancies. And one of the perfect example I can give is the San'a manuscript. When we look at the San'a manuscript, which is of course A palimpsest is a copy that has two writings, the underpart and of course the one above. So the underpart that was erased had varying degrees of errors. The chapters were not arranged the way we see them today. So this was erased, and then what was written above this parchment is in tandem with what we have today. The arrangement of chapters, the writings are almost 100% the same, which shows that these people realized that what they used to know was wrong, and then they erased that and then wrote the correct standard version compiled by Uthman radiallahu anh. And this palimpsest, this manuscript, was backdated, I think, to the 6th or the 7th century. So as you can see, this is as far as during the life of the companions, or very, very close to that. And it simply shed more light on, in fact, what happens today. You see people make mistakes thinking that this is the correct way of pronouncing a particular word or a particular line or sentence from the Quran, only to realize that they have been mistaken all these years. For example, I used to think, and I've made a video regarding this, I used to think that Suratul Quraysh used to start with Ilafi Quraysh. Ilafi Quraysh. This is how I used to pronounce it. But then I realized, after opening the Mus'haf to see it for myself, I realized it is Li Ilafi Quraysh. Okay, not Ilafi Quraysh. It is Li Ilafi. It has Lam Kasra, not Alif Kasra, okay, but Lam Kasra then Alif Kasra. Li'ilafi Quraysh. And to show you that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were pleased with the decision of Uthman, let's look at this hadith by Anas bin Malik, who said, I do not know of anyone among the people who criticized Uthman for this action, and they were all pleased with him, subhanallah. And again, let's look at this hadith from Sunan Tirmidhi, hadith 3104. Ibn Umar, the son of Umar bin Khattab, said, he's also a companion of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not say anything about Uthman except good, for by Allah, now this person is swearing by Allah to show his sincerity regarding what he's about to say. He said, what he did, what Uthman did regarding the Mus'haf, in other words, the standard copy of the Quran, was only after consulting with us. If I had been in his position, I would have done the same, subhanallah. Uthman radiallahu anh consulted with the companions of the Prophet ﷺ even before taking that decision. And also we see that there's a report by Anas that none was displeased with what Uthman did. So there is a consensus between the companions that Uthman should go ahead with what he did. This is one of the reasons why the Quran has maintained the way it has been right from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, because these are companions of the Prophet ﷺ. These people are eyewitnesses to the revelation that came down to the Prophet ﷺ, and they jotted down, some of them memorized it. And if it had differed from what we used to know, we would have seen varying degrees of reports regarding it. So with this I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.